we
Yeah.
jump into the first topic that we are planning on talking about, this is like the one thing we've, excuse me, that we planned on talking about. We'll just go from there. Is we were going to talk
Yeah.
about AI art. That was going to be
Yes.
our initial topic of discussions, how we're feeling about the AI that we have been seeing exploding onto YouTube as of late, starting with Skybrows. Like Skybrows started it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just exploded in both popularity and people that are like, oh wow, I can do this too. And we're seeing all kinds of
Mm-hmm.
primarily music videos, but just some incredible music videos that have been coming out as of late. What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah. So I sort of talked about my opinion on AI before. And I have a lot of, someone who studied art and drew art for quite, I mean, I still do it from time to time, but, um, I used to be very like anti AI because I didn't like understand it. I'm still learning about it, obviously, but I think it's amazing what you can do with it, and not only that, for like a low cost, and you don't have to really wait on anyone to do it. It's kind of great. Um, and I very much enjoy Skybrow's music. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
follow him on Spotify. I have him on loop while I'm at work, and I'm like, yeah, this is great.
It's yeah, he's like Skybars really did the jump off part. Like he opened up everybody's eyes to the possibilities. My whole feeling is first and foremost, I'm fine with AI art with a bit of a codicil. My feelings with AI art is personally, from a person standpoint only. Uh, it's
Mm-hmm.
for if you're using it for fun and for like personal fun, I have no objection to it. I use AI, like I use it like lately. I've been using it for my thumbnails for my YouTube videos, and it's made
Mm-hmm.
some it's elevated my thumbnail game. But it's doing it
Mm-hmm.
for fun. It's not using it for myself now. Just for myself, not using it for
Mm-hmm.
profit. If I ever need
Yeah.
art done for that is on the side of profit, i.e., like a model or additions to my model or something like that, that I will actually contract an artist and a rigger to do. I will not try and do that myself using AI. Especially like the
Mm-hmm.
art part of like if I get a new outfit for my model, I will actually contract out my artist to make the new model versus doing it with AI. That's kind of how my feeling is. Like with the YouTube, like people might say, well, you're making your thumbnails for your YouTube video with it. Yeah, but my YouTube's not monetized. I don't, my
Really?
YouTube channel is completely unmonetized. Yeah, I don't.
Oh wow, I didn't know
Kitsu's
that.
already said like, why aren't you monetizing? You can be make money. First and foremost, the number of views I get on my videos does not make worth monetizing worthwhile. Secondly, I don't want to deal with the headache that is YouTube when it comes to monetization. I have seen way too many people, to include Kitsu, that have gotten royally screwed
Mm-hmm.
over by YouTube with either the content or their monetization. And quite frankly, that is not a headache I want to deal with. So the way I view YouTube for myself is I view YouTube
Mm-hmm.
as a means of advertising my stream. And that's it. I post my, videos on YouTube, which is primarily just, clips or footage from my stream, and I do that as an
Mm-hmm.
advertisement for my stream so that when people watch it, I have my intro has, that I'm on a Kick, that I'm on Twitch and the time that I stream. And so I use that to like get people to go, "Oh, okay, I like this person. I'll go check out their stream." And that's how I've done it from the beginning. That's how I intended to use YouTube from the very beginning. It is just a free massive advertising plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, honestly, that's fair, and I'm glad you brought up Kitsu because I saw what was going on with her, and this isn't just
Oh,
like, oh,
yeah.
it was just like last week. It's been going on for a long time. Her, I think Rosie Belmu as well. I think that happened to her. Actually, maybe I'm not sure, but yeah, a lot of creators have been hit. I'm
Oh,
surprised I
yeah.
haven't been hit by anything yet, but it's
Oh,
only
I
I
I
suppose
know
it's
I
only a matter
have.
of time.
I know I have. Depending on the particular content that I upload to YouTube, I know I'm getting hit with like a suppression. I know anything I like, especially whenever I do like whenever I've reacted to one of Nick Shirley's videos.
Mhm.
Oh, 100%
Oh
that video gets
yeah.
suppressed.
Woohoo!
Anything in that vein, 100% gets suppressed every time. That's why I've taken to
Yep.
every time I release a video about a react to Nick Shirley on on YouTube, I will dual post the link to it onto Twitter because that way I can get more eyeballs onto it because YouTube will bury me in the algorithm if I just straight posted it to YouTube.
Mhm. Yeah, I not like my channel. I think it's like not that it's like small, but obviously I'm a smaller creator. Um, Not saying that I'm owed anything, or whatever, but even when I was consistent, I haven't had a video, pop off, and I talk about religion, and I'm open about it, because it's something that's really
Yep.
important to me, and I want to help other people get to it. But I would have thought at this point, after consistently posting for like almost 2 years, that something, and I've had videos that have done relatively okay, but they usually only really do okay when other people, like, bigger creators, like, start talking about me, and then people start going to my content. But YouTube's not really like pushing it. And obviously, there are
Yeah.
things that can improve my thumbnails, the topic that I'm talking about, but I don't know. I kind of feel like at this point I've given up on trying to figure out the ins and outs, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm not gonna worry about
Yeah,
it too
what like
much.
when it comes to YouTube's algorithm, it's unfortunately like we are at the mercy of it, and unfortunately YouTube is going to push content that they want to push, and content like yours where you are talking about religion, obviously like YouTube has an issue with pushing religious type content on the platform for whatever insane reason that they have, kind of like where I talk about, where I do reacts to, or I talk about certain things where it's basically doesn't follow their
Hmm.
ideology, perspectives, or political perspectives, whatever the case might be in that. And of course, and that video gets buried. So unfortunately, we're there's nothing we can do about it, and the only thing we can do is try and just like what I've been doing with some of mine, where when I post it to YouTube, I'll throw the link to it onto Twitter so more
Hmm.
people will have eyeballs on it, and that way more access
Hmm.
to it. That's kind of all we can do, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, and it really sucks because, like, I don't know. I like making content, so that's why, like, nowadays I don't worry too much about it. But it's also
Yep.
like, this has been a way, for all of us who are trying to maybe make a living, or earn more from it. It really sucks because it's like, I know for you especially, you make like a lot of great content. You're very concise with your words. You know how to articulate your thoughts, and I'm like, dude, this girl needs to be like somebody push, not, I almost said push you off a cliff. I'm like, wait, what? That's not the that's not the direction that I wanted to go in my brain. Somebody push this woman to like the top or something. Like she deserves a YouTube play button right now.
Well,
Sorry, my brain
uh,
like glitched. I'm like,
it's okay. And thank you. I very much appreciate it. It's just honestly, it's funny. So I'm concise in my words. I trip over my own tongue so often. It's not even funny. At least once per stream, I'm going, words are hard. Like at least once a stream.
I was like, no, please, no, don't do it. And then it went, well, okay. Well,
Okay.
oh,
Okay.
wait, were we talking about
I,
AI or were we talking about
yeah,
YouTube? I
and
forgot.
actually, I have a question in regard to that because as an artist, this was a curious question I had is, do, did you and do you still consider AI art to be theft?
So it depends, I think,
Uh-huh.
because there are people who train the models, I guess, based on more like description. Like, because some, like, I mean, I guess all AI is scrape off the platforms, right, to learn. But I think the way that I see it, it's like they're learning patterns. And
Uh-huh.
I mean, maybe some do like fully rip things off, but there has to be some sort of models that are they're learning patterns, they're putting it together. And with music, it's really easy because music is like what patterns and rhythms and this, so it's easier for it to learn. When it comes to visual art, I'm still like trying to understand like what these models are doing and how they're learning. So I'm kind of like on the fence about that. I'm not entirely sure if it's like theft or not. I might lean a little more towards maybe it is, but like you mentioned earlier, if it's for fun, I don't really care. If you're profiting off of it, that's when I have a problem because, you know, you're not really putting pencil to paper heat. But if it's for fun, I don't care, whatever. And I wouldn't mind if someone threw my art into like AI. Not that I post much of it, but if they did, I wouldn't. As long as it's for fun, I don't care. Um, I actually asked Guybrows that question when I did a kind of impromptu interview with him. Like, what did you think about like? I asked him like, is it stealing? And he answered with like, it's kind of like a photograph. You know, is the photography cheating? Is it really art? Because the camera is the one taking the picture. The
Uh,
touch that you put on it as a human is you pick the angle. You might
okay.
stay around for the lighting to see if it hits right and editing and stuff. So that gave me a whole, that blew my mind because I'm like, I actually used to do photography professionally. And it's like, well, the camera's doing a very big bulk of the work to get the image. It's not
And
me.
and and I actually like I have thoughts about this, and I actually want to expound upon that thought process because the way I look at it with AI art, where people say it's stealing, all out throughout the entirety of human history, with perhaps the exception of Cro-Magnon doing cave paintings in prehistoric times, all art that has ever existed has basically
Mm,
had a basis on art that the
mm,
artist has seen before. So literally every artist
yeah.
that has ever created visual art is taking inspiration from other artists that they have seen throughout the course of their lives. And either they are straight up mimicking it just with their own creations, or they're taking inspiration from it and then tweaking it to make it their own. But there is still a core basis in that other artist's original art. And to that degree, a
Mm,
my opinion is AI art kind of sort of works on similar fundamentals because when you're using AI
mm,
art, the AI is
mm,
effectively sampling millions upon millions of different pieces of art that have been posted to the internet since the inception
mm,
of this being possible on the internet. And so what the AI artist is doing is they are basically taking sampling from pre-existing art. They're making their own thing with it. Plus, they may also be putting their own
mm,
twist or their own spin on it. So it's kind of almost like a next, I don't know if a next evolution of it is the correct phrasing for it, but it's basically the
mm,
next step in terms of the visual artists is they are taking from existing work, using it as their
mm,
inspiration, and creating all new art in spite with utilizing this inspiration from previous artists that came before that. So that's kind of been my take in terms of like, oh, AI art is stealing. Well, no, because you're not actually you're not creating one for one of an already existing piece of art and calling it your own. You're taking that
mm,
style or you're taking that type of art by that artist and you're making something yourself through that
mm,
style. I mean, how many artists have we heard like have you heard with criticisms or commentaries about oh they work in style X style or they paint in the Y
mm,
style, which is a previously
mm,
well-known artist. And I kind of look at it in a very
mm,
similar vein to that thought process.
mm. Yeah, and that was actually the fact that you brought that up. I was thinking about that myself. Like when I was studying art, I mean, I had to learn from other art styles. That like Renaissance painting, for
Yeah.
example, like realism. You're learning off of someone else. But I mean, obviously, the difference now is like, well, it's a machine. It doesn't have a soul, and you can tell that obviously, AI is getting quote unquote better. You can tell that it's AI because of the stiffness, right? The hands, the face. It's not quite there yet, and I will always prefer human art. Just like how you said, I'm gonna commission my friends. I'm not gonna put any AI stuff like on my channel, like anything that I, commission to use. Like that's why I made a separate like thing, so that I can just focus on AI for fun, outside of my main stuff. So, um, yeah, the AI is learning patterns and things like that. So I'm curious then, when you say that you wouldn't want it to be monetized, based on what you just said, why wouldn't you want the AI to be monetized if it's just learning?
With the it's in regards to being monetized. I do still feel like in the vein of as you just said, it's there is
Mhm,
something of lacking of a human touch, and when it comes to art like that, I would want a professional that has studied and that has
mhm,
better nuances and better understanding of
mhm,
nuance to craft an art for for the purposes of you utilizing it for monetary gain versus the AI,
mhm,
because you're going to get that finer attention to detail. You're going to get that more
mhm,
proper fine tuning if adjustments need to be made, and
mhm.
you're going to get that higher degree of what's the word I'm looking for? Heart, like with a human with
Yeah, soul,
as you
right?
pointed out, with when you look at art that is done by a human artist, you can very often feel the passion and the heart that has gone into it, and that is distinctly lacking in AI art. AI art is fun. Absolutely. You can do a lot of absolutely brilliant imagery with AI art. But yeah, it is, as you pointed out, still lacking in that certain je ne sais quoi when art is done by
Mhm.
a human artist.
Yeah, I agree. And I know for people who are like, well, you shouldn't be using AI, period. I mean, it's people are gonna use it no matter what.
It's here, it's
And
not going
I'm
away.
not saying artists. Yeah, it's not going away. So it's like kind of a and actually to add to this conversation, as someone who uses Photoshop pretty often, what do you think about AI assisted? And this is generally for like artists. Like, what do you think about kind of these tools that probably rely on some level of AI assistance? Then we should just throw digital art out the window because it's technically cheating if we're gonna be honest here.
It's that I would defer to your knowledge on it because I don't use Photoshop. I use GIMP. Uh, I
I
basically,
love GIMP.
I also do I absolutely love GIMP. So I like in terms of using Photoshop and the AI tools for Photoshop, I'm not overly familiar with them other than I do know that there is a like kind of Photoshop. To my understanding, Photoshop can do similar to what like Grok or Gemini can do, where you can like have an image in Photoshop and then tell Photoshop what you want it to do, and then it'll do that with AI, like removing stuff or changing
Hmm.
things or changing postures and stuff like
Yeah.
that. That's pretty much the
It'll
extent of
content
my
aware fill,
knowledge.
and it's like that's like yeah, like so in Photoshop, like sometimes I'll to edit stuff, I'll use content aware fill, and it's like, well, there's a machine like that has to like take your work and do the editing, so it's like and I love digital art. I've loved digital art since I was a kid. But as I've gotten older and this topic of AI has come in, it's really made me, it has really put into perspective. These are tools and they keep coming and they're gonna keep coming and it's not gonna end because the human
Yeah,
mind wants to develop new things. So it's like,
and
we might not be happy about it like 5, 10 years down the line. People are gonna be like, what? Oh, that's just normal. What AI? Huh? Why do you have a problem with
yeah,
it?
and
Oh,
honestly,
I wanted to ask your
that
opinion.
oh yeah, go right ahead.
Sama, right? By Vidal.
Uh-huh.
People love her. She is
Yeah.
adored by so many. She is
Is
a,
it?
VTuber AI. Like it's, I'm curious.
Like my opinion in Neuro?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think Neuro and Evil are both fantastic. And I think like, people have, there's been a lot of people that are like dogged on Nero and Evil and Vettel. And the fact is, I think a lot of them are jealous that Vettel has been able, through just his
Mhm.
sheer intellect, knowledge, and skill with programming, has been able to create two beautiful works of
Yeah.
AI art, of AI in the form of his daughter. And it's basically, it's taken the concept of AI to an entirely new level. And like I would obviously I have no issue whatsoever with Neuro or Evil in existence because this is basically a
Mhm.
culmination of Vettel's work. It's not like Vettel just did a prompt and then, oh, I've now got Neuro.
Mhm.
No, he put in a tremendous amount of work into creating Neuro, and he continues to put in an incredible amount of work updating her, making her more advanced all the time. And that, like, oh, his efforts should be applauded. And most people, most sane people, do applaud his efforts. They think what he has done is incredible, that he's been able to create these two AIs that are
Mhm.
almost fully autonomous and actively
Mhm.
responsive.
Mhm.
And it's what he's done with them is I have nothing bad to say about it. It's literally anybody that's having a problem with this, like they're like all the people they're saying, oh, it's AI. We should be hating this. Well, no,
Mhm.
these are people that are not appreciating everything that Vettel has done and continues to do, and they're also just jealous
Mhm.
because they couldn't do it. And you could say that about a lot
Yeah.
of streamers that are successful, is that they, when they criticize a lot of streamers that are successful in terms of their content, what they do, what they are, is they hate the
Mhm.
fact that there's someone on the screen that is having fun streaming and are able to actually make a decent money by
Mhm.
literally just having fun, and they hate the fact that they can't do it. And with Vettel, I think it
Yep.
actually it with Vettel it kind of takes it to the next level because you have that, plus you've got the AI layer stacked on top of it, and because there's so much about AI
Mhm.
these days. They use that as an excuse to go, well, you're not
Mhm.
a real streamer, you're not, this is not a real VTuber, and we hate you because reasons XYZ.
Mhm. Yeah, and people in the chat are telling me right now that Vidal, it's, I keep saying Vidal, but that he coded. He used a coding language for them. But and then Tommy just said, I know what I don't like is that people think Vidal made the tech behind Neuro. That's not true. He uses the API of an existing LLM, which means, I'm pretty sure, what is it, limited learning machine, or let me see,
Language
I
model,
forgot what LLM stands for.
limited language model, I
Language
believe.
model. Yeah, or some say it's even large language model. But yeah,
It could,
it's
it could be,
like
yeah,
there
yeah,
is
it could
some
be
level
large
of AI
language
being
model.
used. And but again, people love Nero, and artists do fan art of Nero all the time. So I'm just like, well, there has to be
Yeah,
a way where we can make it more acceptable. Maybe there's gonna be a lot more hard work that goes into making stuff like that. But at some point, this is the future right here.
I legit think that it's just going to be time. I think it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
time and people realizing that they're reeing and screaming about AI, at least in respect to what we've been talking about with things like Neuro. They're doing it because they hate the fact that they can't do it. They hate the fact that they can't make money
Mm-hmm.
and they can't achieve fame the way Vettel has with Neuro and Evil. And they're doing it because I think that they're trying to put a damper
Mm-hmm.
on them. They're trying to bring them
Mm-hmm.
down, and the fact is that they're not. And so what's going to get people to stop gnashing their teeth about people like Vettel, Neuro, and Evil, and AI artists
Mm-hmm.
is by everyone just going, I don't care. We like Vettel. We love Vettel. We love Neuro. We love Evil. We love artists like Skybrows. We're highly entertained by
Mm-hmm.
them. We want them
Mm-hmm.
to stick around. And so when these people realize that all of this, all of their screeching is not going to change anything, they'll stop. They'll stop and they'll move on to the next thing that I think is important. Move on to next thing that I think is
Mhm.
important. So it's literally just time, I think, that'll get them to,
No.
effectively speaking, shut up for the most part.
Yep, I 100% agree. It's always a matter of time. And at the end of the day, like my thing is like if you're a great artist, you're not gonna have to worry too much because for the big projects, for the really detailed projects, for the projects that require a human touch, you're gonna be in line for that. Yeah, it sucks maybe for more beginner artists, more intermediate artists that maybe you won't get as many and but people are still gonna want your art. Like I mentioned this like early on, like 2 3 weeks ago, that I'm still gonna commission my friends. I'm going to for anything related to Celestium, get artwork from them, music from them, and things like that. At the end of the day, I'm not gonna rely on AI art for that. If other people make AI art of me, fine. But and then there's some artists where I would appreciate if y'all didn't feed their art into the AI because there's some people are very explicit about that, and I want to respect their wishes. Um,
Jack?
I'm never gonna stop supporting artists because I love human art. I love the soul that's behind it, and
Absolutely.
I can understand all the hard work that goes into it. So, but we
And
can't
at the
deny
same,
that AI are like again Skybrows. Oops, sorry.
yeah, it's and to a degree also there is, like, this is not to discount people that actually do some like extremely brilliant AI art. This is also not to take away from their skills because it is art to a degree. It's utilizing a different
Mhm.
set of skills. So, like Skybrows
Mhm.
being the perfect example, and then I have had a number of my strays that have made absolutely brilliant AI art of me
Yes.
that is
Yeah.
incredible. And it is a different set of skills because while they're not basically doing pencil to paper, paintbrush to canvas, there is a degree of skill in terms of the prompts. You have to there is skill in getting the prompts correctly and just right to create the type of
Mhm.
art that you are looking to create. So while it is
Mhm.
not the same in terms of the type of skill, it is without question
Mhm.
a skill to be able to facilitate those kind of prompts to create this incredible art that we see all over nowadays. Yeah,
You're an art
and as
director
someone in my
basically,
chat
and
said,
you
it
control
vision.
the. Mhm. Yeah, that's what I think of Skybrows. He is a director. He's directing the AI artist and in the direction that of his vision, like you were saying just now.
I can't take credit for that one. One of my chat Revan said directing their vision also.
Based. Based
Well,
stray.
yes. Yes, they are. They are wonderful.
They're wonderful. Mm.
So yeah, I mean, gosh, gorsh. Yes.
Gorsh. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed, and I don't want to see it like go away personally. I think that there's something really amazing is gonna happen in the next couple of years, especially like seed. I don't know if you've seen Seed Dance too, but oh boy, it might put
Seed
some people to
dance?
shame.
What was it
Am
called
I
again?
mispronouncing it? It's like one of the AI. It's Seeda, or maybe it's Seed Dance, like Seedance, and it's 2.0. It looks so good.
I'm not familiar
It
with
looks
that
so
at
freaking
all.
good.
Huh.
Maybe I'm mispronouncing it. Hold on.
When's it, what is it? What is it? Spell for me again?
Seedance 2.0.
And let's see. Okay. Sea Dance 2.0. Oh, okay. I'm not even familiar with this.
Yeah,
Okay.
so there's a lot of like
Oh, wow.
it's really good. Everyone wants it,
Yeah.
and it's making some really good stuff.
Well, yeah, I'm on their page. It's impressive. It is
Yeah.
really impressive. Wow.
Oh man. Well, and
Is this
obviously
what
there's
Scribros uses?
I guess that no. I think he really wants to. I think he uses Video, Grok,
Hmm.
uh Mid Journey, and
Okay.
he uses Suno for music. And I think there's
Okay.
another one that I think he uses Kling, and Kling is really expensive. I was like looking into it, and I'm like, I'm just starting out. I'm gonna, hold off on this one for now.
You said he does Suno for the music?
Yeah, uses Suno for music. Yeah,
Yes, that's what I use for all my music too.
I love Suno. Suno's pretty good.
It's great.
It's value
It
based.
Oh, it is. I mean, I was able to make like my like the theme song that I use for my stream. I
Hmm.
love it. It's like it's I did all of my music using Suno, but man,
Hmm.
when I was able to come up with like the theme song, easily one of my favorites. And like Suno did such a good job of it. Such a good job.
Hmm. I would say, and I don't know if you want to sort of transition maybe into the consequences of AI, because one
Sure,
thing is like,
absolutely.
it's one thing if it's like art and drawings, like, that's like, okay, you can tell, but when it comes to real people and deepfakes, that's one of
Oh
the
yeah.
worries that I have personally is like deepfakes. And
Yeah.
yeah, there are some you can clearly tell. I don't know
Hmm.
if you've seen this around on Twitter, but there was like AI from maybe like a year or two or three ago where it was like Will Smith was eating spaghetti and meatballs and it looked
Yes. Yes.
atrocious. But
Yeah.
now they recreated that very scene and it's like, hello? So with real people, that's like where my concern really is because you could make like revenge content of other people. Imagine that. I would freak
Yeah,
out.
I mean, that's the double-edged sword to it. Like I saw a short on YouTube
Mm-hmm.
that someone posted that was supposedly Bruce Lee and who was it? Oh my
Bruce
goodness,
Lee?
I've lost the name. Boxer. Muhammad Ali. That's who it was.
Yeah, I
Muhammad
was just
Ali.
about
Yeah, it was basically supposedly the two of them. It looked like they were on like a talk show scene, and it was a short, so it was obviously,
Mm-hmm.
the what, two by six aspect ratio or whatever. And he was like Bruce Lee saying like, okay, if you give me a jab, and like Muhammad Ali like did a couple jabs and then like jab forward and touch Bruce just as
Mm-hmm.
Bruce's hands came up
Mm-hmm.
like he was going to defend, obviously to say that, oh, Muhammad Ali
Mm-hmm.
could destroy Bruce without even thinking. Problem was Muhammad Ali is 6'1" and Bruce Lee was like what, 5'4", 5'5", and in the video they were the same height.
Mm.
But if you didn't
Yeah,
know
wow,
about the
okay.
height differences between the two of them, it looked quite real. Like it had that older like kind of fuzzy staticky type quality from
Mhm.
from
Yeah.
old school TV back in like the 50s and 60s,
Mhm.
but it looked like it
Yeah,
could
and
have
that
been
could
a
deceive
real
anybody.
broadcast back from them. So
Mm.
it is a double-edged sword where we are able, with AI, we are able to create this incredible art. But yes, and then like you said, it can be and probably has been used for nefarious
Mhm.
purposes. And there is a much larger social concern that goes along with it, where now all of a
Mhm.
sudden society at large can't trust what they see with thine own eyes. And that treads into
Yeah.
dangerous territory.
Yeah. I I absolutely agree, And that's the thing, tools can be used for, nefarious purposes no matter what it is.
Yes.
And that's the problem. You can't control people. They're gonna do it regardless because there are evil people in the world. Some
Yep.
people have actually gone as far as to say that AI is actually like demons, and I'm like, I don't know about that, but I'm sure they could use it if they really wanted to. But I don't know. I don't know about AI being like demonic in of itself. I think it's just a tool. At the end of the day, but again, you can still use it for evil like anything else. So that's
Exactly.
I won't sit here and say like, yeah, we're having fun, we're listening to Skybrowse, it's all good, we're jamming, we're out here, but there's a real reality out there on the other side, and I think it's important to be aware of both and use it. I would say, if even saying using it for the right way, for the right reasons is even something you can say. You gotta use it.
Yeah, it's that
For fun and helpful ways. Yeah.
what I think is going to end up happening is when we start to see the AI being used to do these deep fakes specifically to uh, affect very, very significant sociological and political change, and it works,
Mm-hmm.
and then people discover, oh, this was actually AI. What I think is going to happen is we may, and this actually might be a good thing, is we may actually start seeing some form of regulation come into play where there has to be a
Mm-hmm.
level of detectability for everything that is done visually with AI. So that way, or
Mm-hmm.
either that or with with like officials, like I'm focusing here on like
Mm-hmm.
government officials. So, people, so
Mm-hmm.
there's no question that this government official is actually this person. They're actually saying this thing and it's not AI. I could see there being something implemented where anytime there is an official statement by a government official being made, be it heads of
Mm-hmm.
state, senators, congressmen, mayors, what have you, that there's going to be something, what's the word I'm looking for, inlaid into the footage that
Yeah, like a code of some
identifies it
sorts
as being
that it's
real.
required. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Is there's gonna and I'm for some level of regulation, but I don't want it to get to the point where it's like I'm trying to do this thing for fun, and it's clearly AI, but I can't use it now because there's so much government control. Like I have to ask daddy government to, please can I make my funny AI video?
Yeah.
That's like also an extreme I wouldn't want it to go into.
Well, it's like, and chat was saying something like, well, there's already watermarks. And yes, there are watermarks there, but I'm talking about like something built into like, the footage, either, through the mainstream news media or from the official, government, if the government, if the government itself is actually doing the video footage, where there's something inlaid into
Mm-hmm.
the code, because let's face it, all of the all video footage is digital these days. So yeah, like actually build it
Mm-hmm.
into the code of the video footage or build it into the metadata
Mm-hmm.
of the video footage that it is real and that it can't be that would preclude it from being altered or would readily identify it to the general
Mm-hmm.
public that yes, this is a real video, it's not AI, and and people cannot, build in this metadata code into the video footage
Mm-hmm.
when they do an AI generated deepfake. Now, granted, that will, as everything does, that will be an ever never ending game of cat and mouse where, tech
Yeah,
experts will
hackers are
find
gonna find out. Like people
workarounds.
are gonna
They're going to
find
find
the
out, then they'll have to
loophole. Mm-hmm.
reconfigure it, and it will be a never ending game of cat and mouse, but it may be something that can be done to perhaps mitigate
Mm-hmm.
any issues in regards to, the average citizen looking at a public
Mm-hmm.
official making a statement and having less doubt. Not no doubt, because that will always exist, but less doubt of what they're
Mm-hmm.
seeing is actually real. That we will need
Mm-hmm.
to get to that point.